application will increase. Oh, I'm sorry. The CMA application will increase efficiency and it'll improve reliability and accountability for the people that OPWD supports. And it will, improve the overall certified residential opportunity process. The CMA is going to keep referral packets up to date so that they accurately reflect people's needs. And updated referral packets help promote timely screening activities. The more current the information is regarding an individual, the better the opportunities are in terms of matching them with a suitable provider that can provide them the necessary supports that they can, so that they can, do well and thrive in a residential setting. So the CMA is being rolled out and it's a multi-phase process. There's 3 distinct phases. The first one actually occurred back in July 11th, and that was the implementation phase. It was on July 11th, 2025. So care managers from that date have 7 months to enter the CRO referral form and upload documents into the CMA so that for everyone on their caseload. So this may not be as relevant to you guys, but it is very specific to the CCOs, and they've already been notified of this. New referrals will need to be submitted by care managers using the CMA after that date. So anything that care managers are submitting should be new applications if it was being submitted after July 11th. So for the current CRO referrals that have been approved, those approved individuals have already been migrated from the old CRO database into the CMA. So again, if there's any updated information, they have to, the care managers would have to submit the updated documents through the CMA, okay? So once a person has been added into the CMA, to keep the CRO referral active, the CRO packet must be updated after each annual life plan review and wherever there's any significant changes in the person's life. And that's also been the case even before that. If there is any significant updates to the person's needs or abilities, that be updated if it doesn't happen to align with exactly when a life plan is. If there's no significant updates, the expectation was always that there should be a new set of documents submitted annually so that OPWDD can do the best it can to make appropriate referrals to providers that would be best able to serve the individuals. So with that being said, we did a number of demonstrations, user guides, and created reference materials that we have shared with the CCOs as well as the regional field office staff. And, we continue to be a resource for care managers if they continue to have any questions. But we have done a lot of work into sharing the information, updating the CCOs on the new CMA. And, it might be a little bumpy initially, but we're going to get through it. So it's a learning curve, I think, for both ends, OPWDD as well as the care managers. But we're committed to learning together and making sure that the CRO process is a much improved process going forward. So I mentioned that the CMA is being rolled out in phases. We already discussed phase 1 in a little bit more detail. Phase 2 and phase 3 are going to be focused primarily with the certified residential providers, and this will be occurring sometime later this year. So as we are able to get more information, once we talk to providers, we'll certainly make sure to keep you guys posted as well on our meetings, okay? And the other update that I have is regarding the Accessing Life podcast. So there are now 8 episodes of the Accessing Life podcast that are available. The most recent one, the 8th episode, is features an interview with our Commissioner Bear, and I will put the link in the chat if anybody's interested in viewing the podcast or would like to share the podcast with those that they know who would enjoy it. And those are the updates from OPWDD. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Any questions on OPW. Mayor?
I have a question. Hi, Sam. This is Mary Knox from IAC. How are you?
Hi, how are you?
What I just was wondering, a number of providers have mentioned to me that they're struggling getting an updated CRO list to look at referrals. What is the most recent CRO list that providers are able to access?
So there's you're talking about the emergency needs CRO list, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's generated every month, usually I believe at the first half of the month. And they can always contact the lead for CRO. So in our region, the lead for in New York City would be a little tongue-tied, Janine Kirschner. She is my counterpart and she oversees the housing unit, which includes the CRO unit. And the other person is Yvette Herdsman, and she is the housing unit lead that specifically oversees CRO. So if there's any questions about when the list is going out or when to expect the list, or if providers want a current copy of the most recent needs list for emergency needs individuals, they can certainly reach out to either Janine Kirschner or to Yvette Herdsman.
And it's for Manhattan, or is it all 5 boroughs of New York City?
It's all 5 boroughs of New York City.
Perfect. Great. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other questions for OPWDD? Mary? You're muted, Mary.
So that's just the emergency part, not the other 2 sections that are available every month.
So if an agency, so we always tell provider agencies that they must screen for emergency need first. If they have screened the individuals on emergency need based on, the type of house it is, whether it's accessible, non-accessible, age, cohort, and whatnot, right? If they have demonstrated to us that they have done a full review of the emergency needs list and they still haven't been able to find an individual who would be a good complement for their existing vacancies, we then ask them to reach back out to the CRO unit and then request a copy of the substantial need. If they have exhausted the substantial need list, then they can still reach out to CRO and request a current need. But the first priority is always emergency need.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I do have a question. But this is not regarding the CRO list. My question is more to some changes to ICF eligibility. You can explain a little bit about that.
Sorry, what was the question about ICF eligibility?
I don't know if this is working, but if you can, it doesn't pull from if you can talk a little bit about changes on ICF eligibility. My understanding is that they're gonna review the individuals who are already placed and then see level of needs, and then in order to open more for people who are waiting for those spots.
So I'll be honest, I am not an eligibility specialist. There's another person who oversees eligibility. What I can tell you, as far as I know, is that in order to be placed in an ICF, you are required to have met an ICF level of care, basically, and that is determined through an annual review of clinical documents. So every year, regardless of whether you're waiting for placement or you're currently in a residence, every individual's care manager, or if they're in ICF, they don't have care managers, but they have QIDPs who are expected to complete the annual recertification. There is an expectation that the person's either medical or behavioral needs, usually medical, necessitate the admission or continued services in an ICF. I don't know if that answered your question or if your question was more in general about what is needed in order to be to receive an level of care eligibility determination for ICF. So if you could clarify a little bit further, maybe perhaps I can answer your question a little bit better.
It wasn't really about what is needed, but I know that there are some changes and, but it's fine. I mean, I could pose that question maybe next month, with more information. But I understand the, eligibility process, how people end up in ICF, but I also heard that they're changing some of the system. Some of that system, so I was wondering if you have more information about it, but that's fine.
Yeah, I'm not as aware of that. Perhaps you're better informed than me, but I don't know anything about that. But if I'll take it back to my leadership and see if there's anything perhaps that they know of, so that they can be better prepared for next month's meeting.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you. So if there are no other questions, we'll move on to IAC update report. Mary Knox.
Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here. Not usually with the Manhattan Council, but I like to get around, so I'm happy to be here with you today. I'm going to just provide some federal and state updates. And I'm going to be doing a lot of reading, so forgive me. I just can't keep all of this in my head. So federal advocacy fiscal year 2026 appropriations process. Funding to keep the government open runs out on September 30th. Right now, Congress is in the middle of its appropriations process for 2026 funding. To avoid a government shutdown, Congress must approve a new government funding package by September 30th. Both the Senate Committee on Appropriations and the House Committee on Appropriations have marked up their labor, health and human services, education and related agencies bills and passed them out of committee. Substantial bipartisan work went into the Senate bill and it passed out of the committee 26-3. The legislation funds the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, at $116.6 billion, which is a $446 million increase in discretionary funds. The House bill was passed out of committee 11-7 along party lines. Only Republicans voted to advance it. The legislation appropriates $108.6 billion for HHS, a decrease of $6.8 billion. It's a lot of money. Now that the Senate bill and House bill have passed out their respective committees, they will have to be debated and voted on in each chamber. There's a lot of disagreement among appropriators, the White House, and different fractions within both parties. The White House asked for a stopgap funding bill that would fund the government until January 31st, but many congressional appropriators want a CR that would fund the government until mid-November. The timeline is very tight, and there may not be enough time to pass a full spending bill before the deadline. As the September 30th fiscal year deadline approaches, Republicans are pushing for a clean continuing resolution, which is CR, to fund the government until November 20th, 2025, but the Democrats are demanding healthcare provisions, including an extension of enhanced advanced premium tax credits in exchange for their votes. A clean CR is a continuing resolution that funds the government at the previous fiscal year's spending levels without any changes to the policy or additions of new spending. In essence, it's a bipartisan temporary funding measure to keep government agencies operating when the formal appropriations process is incomplete, preventing a shutdown and extending the life of existing funding and programs. Continued federal advocacy, Winnie Schiff, our CEO, and Kate Hoy, who is our VP of Children's Services, participated last week in ANCOR's advocacy down in Washington, D.C. where they advocated to congressional reps to one, support and strengthen IDD services through the HCBS Relief Act, which would increase FMAP by 10% for 2 years. Support better data collection through the creation of a standard occupational classification for DSPs to collect data that would help in advocacy and rate setting. And to repeal harmful limitations to state Medicaid financing, including cuts to provider taxes and state-directed payments. I'm just going to stop there briefly, see if anyone has any questions or anything to add that I may have left out. Everyone's as depressed as I am.
Expenses over good.
Yes, that's right. All right. We'll talk a little bit about education. Last week, House Appropriations Subcommittee on Labor, Health and Human Services, Education Related Agency considered its fiscal year spending bill, which funds federal education programs. The bill would cut education funding by $12 million, a 15%, or 15%, approximately the same reduction proposed in the president's budget. Title I would receive a 27% cut, which is equates it to $5.2 billion. The Senate Appropriations Committee passed a bill earlier this summer, largely keeping funding flat. Under the House bill, all parts of the IDEA would be funded despite a president's budget proposal for the spring that sought to eliminate the IDEA preschool program and IDEA Part D, which funds competitive grants that support personnel preparation and professional development, technical assistance, technology, parent training, and more within the education system. Since then, advocates have written thousands of letters to Congress urging the funding of all parts of IDEA. Your advocacy matters. Please continue to advocate that there be no funding to special ed programs, to IDEA at all. While special education funding is not specifically on the chopping block, effects of the other K-12 programs, which will strain local education budgets, will impact children with disabilities. The Senate House bills are very far apart at this point. The path to a single bill can pass both the House and Senate remains unclear. In addition to early termination of New York City's Head Start grant, 25 grants under Part D of the Individual with Disabilities Education Act and administered through the Office of Special Ed Programs were terminated prematurely on September 5th after a review found that they did not comply with the administration's executive orders and priority. The U.S. Department of Education has pulled funding for programs in 8 states aimed at supporting students who have both hearing and vision loss, a move that can affect some of the country's most vulnerable students. These grants have been funded through 2028. Their funding will now end at the end of this month. So that's not the good news either.
Okay.
SNAP, the New York, there with upcoming cuts to the SNAP program, there's an expected 2.4 million Americans will lose their SNAP benefits. Although the big beautiful bill is causing harsh changes like this, you can still fight back. Benefits stop, appeal quickly, and call 311 in New York City or 211 outside of New York City for immediate food help. Ask your local SNAP office about any exemptions that may apply and how to enroll in qualifying employment and training program. Okay, state advocacy. While OPWDD hasn't been given a specific target for cuts, they are looking for ways to reduce expenses without impacting services. And my understanding that's the marching orders, all of the O's agencies in New York State have been given. While there's no specific cuts being mentioned, everyone is looking if when the spending, when the cuts come down the pike, where can monies be saved in the current budget? And I'm sorry, did somebody want to say something? The Division of Budget is seeking suggestions for onerous regulations that could be eliminated or modified to save money. Provider associations are looking at these to support this request. While this year's cut to the state was only $750 million, expanding additional reductions will take place each year through 2035. IAC is working with statewide coalitions to suggest a way for Governor Hochul to minimize the number of New Yorkers who will lose coverage through the essential plans, which support some DSPs and their families of the people we support. NIDA is also looking at a variety of ideas for budget requests, including supporting DSPs and other staff through housing and childcare initiatives. We will be asking for the July CPI for a targeted inflationary increase of 2.7. For our 4410 and 853 programs, we are in the process of formulating our asks, most of which will mirror the state ed budget request letter due mid-April 2026. And for early intervention programs, we are also formulating our asks, which may include the July CPI as the percentage for a rate increase, which is 2.7. But we'll also be advocating to provide the increases that were approved in the current budget, which still have not been seen yet. Any questions on that happy news? And only to add to Sam's OPWDD report, I just wanted to mention that last week a RFA request for applications. OPWDD released a request for applications for regional disability health clinic programs, which of course now is a new acronym we'll have to learn, RDHCP. This was put in, monies to support this program was put into the budget by Governor Hochul. And the goal of this grant opportunity is to improve healthcare for people with developmental disabilities by increasing access to care and better coordinating, integrating services. There's some important dates if any providers are interested. The RFA can be found on OPWDD's procurement opportunities website. And there is a pre-application that is due by Friday, September 19th. And if any providers are on the call and interested and can't seem to track it down, they certainly can email me and I'll be happy to pass it along. And my email is mary@iacny.org.
That's the only happy news you provided.
It's a summer-like day outside. How's that?
Still summer.
I don't know if anyone has any questions or please chime in if I missed anything.
Mary, what's the name? It's the Regional Disability, what's it called? RFA for the release of regional disability. I missed the last two words.
Regional Disability Health Clinic Programs, RDHCP.
Thank you.
Mary?
I know the governor has joined the other Northeast states saying that COVID vaccines are available here, despite what HHS has said. Do you have any idea about how it will be paid for? Medicaid cover it? Will the state cover for people who have regular insurance or are on the essential plan, or any of that information?
Right, I don't know, I know that her executive order, I believe it was released September 5th and it's good for a month. And the executive order said that you're not required to have, pharmacists can administer the vaccine without a doctor's order. I don't know about the payment, however, I have heard that some of the larger pharmacy chains are still asking for a doctor's order because they're afraid they're not going to be able to tap into federal dollars. So I have no news other than what you've shared.
So can she insist that pharmacies cover it?
She can, I guess so, if she's put an executive order in place, I would imagine that anyone licensed in New York State would have to adhere to that. But I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think the executive order addresses the pharmacies being able to administer the vaccine to anybody who wants it. But it does not address the payment issue as far as I know.
Thank you.
Thanks.
But I'll keep looking into it, Mary, and see what I can find out.
Thank you. We intend to advocate that the state
Yeah.
pick up the cost. But we'll see what happens.
Anyone else? I thought I saw another hand up. New phone, I don't know.
Jackie.
Okay,
Kathy, I just wanted to add something. Excuse me. I was actually at CVS Upstate yesterday. 5 days ago, they had no vaccines. They were not taking any reservations. And yesterday they were giving them out like bones to the dogs. So again, like Kathy said, I don't know if the mandate is for reimbursement, but the big pharmacies, I think, are starting to roll it out.
Good.
thanks, Jackie. Okay, thanks, Mary.
All right, I'm gonna leave, go to my next meeting, but it was very nice being here and look forward to seeing you next month.
Thank you, Mary.
Take care, Mary.
Just before we move on to committee reports, I saw in the chat from Maria Knoll about the from Public Partnerships on the CDPAP update. Maria, can you also announce that, share that with us verbally as well as in the chat?
Sure. Give me 1 minute. Can you hear me?
Yes, yep.
Okay, great. I think I'm turning on my video. Hi, everyone. This is Maria, Community Liaison with Public Partnerships, PPL. I believe the last time we spoke or would have had contact would have been back in the transition time, but I did have the chance to visit the fair a few months ago. And so I'm happy to be back here now that you guys are meeting regularly. As I shared in the chat, it took me a little bit of time to gather my announcement this morning. There is an important message that we encourage folks to share, not only with those who are personal assistants providing care to those who have CDPAP services, but also those clients themselves, because those folks are the employer of their personal assistant. So this message is for everyone, and that is for folks to have their health assessment complete by October 1. Folks were made aware of this earlier on in the transition. However, there's a number of reasons why folks, wait till the last minute, or it may take some time to either make a new appointment or get their old records over from their personal doctor. And so it's important that we amplify the message so that folks know that after October 1, if their physical is not uploaded as a personal assistant, so proving that they're healthy enough to deliver care, that they won't be compliant with the program. And so that would potentially cause a disruption in services, because we won't be able to pay those individuals until they have their documentation up to date. And so if you have any questions, I did drop my email in the chat. I don't want to take up too much time, but there's also the links to our contract partner, Mobile Health, which is our subcontractor, which offers the physical health assessment for free. So really the option being that someone can upload documentation from their own doctor's visit, or they can take advantage of that free resource. So please do give me an email if you have any question about it whatsoever. I'd love to share more info, including digital flyers that can be shared out in English, Spanish, and Bengali at this time. So thank you guys.
Thanks. Jackie?
I had a question for Maria. Maria is a wealth of information. She helped me get all set up for PPL. So thank you, Maria. I actually just received an email that there's going to be mandatory trainings that are due by December 31st. Can you speak to that, please?
So I can't speak to it right now, but I'd love to get that information back to the entire group. And so I'd be happy to share it with, I know I have Jackie's email, and so if they want to go ahead as a larger group, share it out with folks. I'm assuming you guys have a whole listserv. I will definitely get that information to you guys. Thanks for asking.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you guys.
Thanks. Did you want to talk about the?
When there's time.
It's time.
Oh. All right.
Joining us is somebody who I have known for, I won't even say how many years, but Peggy Gross has been a longtime member of the Manhattan DD Council. And I happened to run into her last week and re-invited her back to our meetings. We're talking about something that she's been working on, so want to share with the council. Peggy?
Hi, thanks for the time. I remember when the DD Council started. I remember when OPWDD was formed. And with all of these tremendous things that have happened in New York City, where is the record? If somebody wanted to know, what did New York City, what did the people in New York City do to help the disability rights movement? Where do you get that information? Nowhere. If you go to Berkeley, California, they have a huge repository of disability rights movement people. If you go to Minneapolis, Minnesota, the Minnesota Governor's Council on DD has a tremendous resource. If you go to Philadelphia, Temple University, they have a lot of stuff. So you can go to a place to do research, to study, to learn, to have pride in what you've achieved. New York, we didn't care. We did nothing about it. A number of years ago, probably beginning in 2013, 2012, I began to do extensive research along with a friend of mine, Susan Abdelezer, who does a lot of the videos for District 75. She and I worked together on creating a gallery of disability history to put in the lobby of the building of District 75, so that visitors, teachers, and in particular students could learn and see they have a role, an important role in American history. Hate to tell you they took it down this year because I guess it doesn't matter that much. History goes away. And anyhow, in doing that, when we tried to find things, it became very clear New York City did not do anything. Yes, AHRC, under the auspices of the renowned Shirley Bernstein, has a whole batch of documents, but are they available? Where do you get them?
Behind my desk.
I'm a teacher at Brooklyn College, and I want to do a paper on the development of the DD field in New York City. I never heard of Shirley. So I go to the library in Brooklyn College What do I find? Very little. And they will cannot connect AHRC with the larger disability rights movement. They won't do that. So we found this out and we formed a group to try to gather. And I hope all you people who are at home and with agencies or who know families, keep this in mind. We need you. And we formed a group to do research in who has what, where is it, will they give it, how can we do it? And fortunately, I met a young woman named Jessica Murray who was getting her doctorate, thank God. And she's young, thank God. When I'm long gone, things can continue. So Jessica has taken on the project ownership and has written grants so that we could get some money to develop an archive of New York City's leading role. It was a leader in the disability rights movement in many, many areas. But we don't proclaim it. And so we started to do research and we worked, Laura Kennedy has worked with this. Those of you who know Laura Kennedy, she has worked with this. I see DIA up there, the president of DIA, Jean Ryan, she's with us also. We have people from USA, formerly Eastern Paralyzed Veterans. We have people, Warren Shaw, if any of you ever heard of him, his parents were active in the disability rights movement early on in the city. And he's doing a type of history of it, but it is not complete. Where are the people from the DD field? Nowhere. So we got this group, we got the grants. We started the archives and they're being housed at the College of Staten Island where the Willowbrook archives are and where New York State archives are. Okay, so what we are doing is we are actively collecting and preserving documents. If you are a family member and your mother or your father wrote a letter before emails, maybe, wrote a real letter to a human being somewhere in the state or the city about getting services, how did something form? We know how AHRC formed. Where are the records for what used to be called ACRMD, the Association for Children with Retarded Mental Development? That started probably in the late 50s or 60s to represent the parents, more of the kids who were in classes for what then called educable mentally retarded. So they worked, so we had all of these agencies. UCP started in New York City the same year as AHRC. How many of our people know that? This was years before that revolution in Berkeley. It was years before the Willowbrook expose. It was a good 40 years before the Americans with Disabilities Act. Where are all our records? We have acquired a lot. I donated all of my records. A lot of them dealt with some of the AHRC material. My husband and I worked there, and I had done travel training. And my husband did it when we worked there in the early 60s. I then started it in the Board of Ed in 1970. So I had copies of all the reports and I kept copies of everything. The Board of Ed did not. The Board of Ed is like all other organizations. A new administration comes in, you forget everything the other administration did. So you either shred it or put it in storage somewhere where it gets flooded and it's ruined. So it is very hard. But in New York City, it's where special ed started. Where are the records? We don't have them. The first lawsuit, we do have that on transportation. So we're going to have an exhibit at Positive Exposure. You all know Positive Exposure?
Yeah, we'll share it with
All of
those.
us have to learn it. It's fabulous. It is a gallery of and by and for disabled artists. And he has specialized to a great extent in those with intellectual and developmental disabilities.
That's great.
He has expanded and he has been actively working with us over the years. It is at 83 Maiden Lane on the 4th floor. It's great, great. You should go there.
What's the address?
83 Maiden.
83 Maiden Lane.
Okay.
And if you're with an agency or you're a family member, go and enjoy positive expressions of the beauty in life and the expressive nature of all human beings. We sometimes forget that and think we're the expressive nature of them. So we're having this exhibit. It will be opened on October 16th, but I don't know how many invitations will be sent out. And then it will stay at the gallery for the rest of the year until the end of December. But visits will be by appointments. If you are working in an agency and you're doing any professional development with your staff, take them, encourage them to go. Let them learn that they are in a long line of pioneers, of breakers of tradition, of people who stamped on what other people thought other people should have and do. That they are the latest in a line of rebels. It's good to be a rebel. So let them applaud themselves for being in the revolution. And wake up, D.D. Field, and join the rest of the disability rights movement. And by the way, I tell the rest of the disability rights movement to wake up and include us. I mean, it's too long we have not joined in except for specific actions like to petition against Medicaid cuts. But there is a lot more to life than funding. A whole lot more where we should join together.
I'm going for some
What's that? The first exhibit is going to emphasize what we have the most of. Because New York City led the country and possibly the Western world in the area of transportation for accessibility. With the famous, after the UMTA regulating that buses had to be done, we had the lawsuit in '79 that changed the face of it. It was here in New York City. Eastern paralyzed veterans filed the case. They won. What came out of that case became the basis for the regulations in Title II that were mostly written by a lawyer from EPVA, Jim Weissman. He donated tons of stuff to us. So EPVA was very active in it. And The other one, too, that were active, DIA was active in it. I'm talking about the early years. AHRC had initially led the way. I say initially, very advisedly, from 1960 to 1963, when they started travel training. The first ever in the country, probably in the world, to prove, to learn that individuals who had at that time IQs below 50 could indeed travel by themselves if they were given the proper instruction. It was the first ever recorded study on it. And it was led by Jack Gorelick and Jack Tobias in AHRC. Having worked there, I took that information and the other stuff to the Board of Ed when I went there. In addition, in 1959, I think it was 58, 59, 60, AHRC got funding for the first ever Occupation Day Center, a program for adults with significant levels of mental retardation, again, below the IQ of 50, who could not travel because you had to be able to travel independently to go to a sheltered workshop because they were highly touted and highly sought after because they prepared people for employment. How things change. And it's just amazing how we can mess things up. And so that is, but we have some of these records. We have the records of the beginning of that Occupation Day Center, which within a few years, there were 164 in the country, modeled on what was here in New York. So each of you from your agencies had a beginning. Where are your records? Should anybody know them? Do you do anything innovative in the field? I'm sure you do. So talk to people, see about donating them. Oh, and just as an aside, as a result of our archives, travel training is in Wikipedia. And there is a thing in Wikipedia, if you go to it, it's called Inside Higher Ed. And there is an article in there about how travel training originated. And it features a picture from the archives in a brochure from AHRC way back when. So it's your archives. So far, I am the only one and the ARC with the state ones that are in the only thing on the DT field. So if you think it's important to have outreach, if you think it's important for people to know your origins and why and how and who, see what you can gather and talk to your parents and the family members, because their stories are just incredible. So thank you, and I'll get information.
An email or a number to reach you, like?
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Kathy. I don't know whose email to give. You can give mine, but which is Kathy has it.
Okay.
But we are gathering, and it is, God, when it opens, for those of you who have day hab, I hate that. such a terrible name. I mean, if somebody told me I was going to take rehabilitation for the rest of my life, I think I'd shoot myself. But that's. Kathy knows me. But they have a right to go and see themselves too. So when it's possible to make an appointment to go. And if you have anything about how your programs started, there are so many now. But I think of some of the ones that go back some years. Share it.
Let's share the link. I'll share the contact with you. It gives you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Peggy.
I just want to say I'm very happy that you are doing this and you've been doing this. I am very honored to be the successor of Mr. James Malley, who I believe we have plenty of records, at least from 1973 in my office. And I have often thought about, I'm including myself as the younger generation, where I feel that somehow things have been handed over to us, and there isn't at least for many, there isn't that passion that it's required to make change. And I believe that teaching people the history, it's important. And I often find myself thinking about that, like with our staff development. How can we do better? And in general, how can we teach where this came from and how we came about? So I just want to, I'm going to reach out.
Thank you so much. And I just leave you with one quote from a great historian, William Loren Katz. If you believe people have no history worth mentioning, it is easy to believe they have no humanity worth defending.
Very good.
I think it's.
Thank you, Peggy, and I'm glad you joined us, and thank you for some good and uplifting news, and kind of reminds us of why we're all here, and the impact that we make each and every day. So thank you.
It's a good memory because most agencies were started by parents. And I think that people don't know that, or they don't realize it, they forget it. It was started by parents who wanted the best for their children. And we, like 40 years later, people don't necessarily connect to that. And I think it's so important.
Yeah, and now you can never expect the government to give to you. It is the biggest mistake we have ever made, is to depend on the government. You have to depend on yourselves and the resources to make the things happen. You may use government funds for some things, but to get solely dependent on it to the extent that we have, you're going to dance to their tune. And you have your own tune. You have your own voices that are more important than that.
Before we move on to committee reports, just one thing that I forgot to mention at the top of our meeting. The Manhattan DD Council has in the past had membership dues for provider agencies. And we kind of paused this during the pandemic. But we are beginning to reinstitute membership dues beginning this year. So for this current year, July 2025 through June 26. Our membership dues will be $150, which is exactly the same as it was back in 2020. I do have flyers here, but we will get the flyers out to our mailing list as well. And we ask this for providers only. So family members, self-advocates do not pay dues. But we absolutely welcome you here at all of our meetings. The information is on the flyers. But the benefits of being a member of the Manhattan DD Council is that you will have your agency listed on our website as a council member. We will, with a direct link to your agency's website, we will post your events on our website, on our calendar of events. And there is also a discounted rate when we have our annual family support fair in the spring. So we are sending this out. We would like to have this back by the end of November. And the instructions on how to forward that payment is on the flyer. So we'll get that out to everybody. Committee reports.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
If we can let the providers know what their dues will help us with.
Yeah, the membership dues, the council funds, our big event is the annual family support fair, which we have held in person for the past several years. And that will be held in May of 2026. It also helps to fund our legislative and advocacy events. It also goes to support the costs of maintaining our website and the council expenses. Then committee reports, Mary and Jackie, you want to start with Family Support Service Advisory?
Jack, you want to do the meeting?
Yes. Our first meeting of the fall, I guess technically, is going to be Thursday, September 25th, which is next week from 10 a.m. Probably till about 11 a.m. We are having, excuse me, Ramapo for Children is providing a facilitator to do a community circle for parents, basically a time to get together and share our challenges, any advice people can give, just really a place to speak and to be heard. And Ramapo does a great job at doing this. So we hope that everybody can attend and send out to your people. Thanks. Mary.
Hi, I'm Mary McGuire. Weaver, Jackie's co-chair for the Manhattan Family Support Service Advisory Council. We had FSS at our statewide meeting on last Monday, September 8th, and I'll put my glasses on so I can see my notes. John Barbuto, he spoke for the commissioner. I'm just going to briefly tell you what I have here. Jackie and I will send out the whole minutes of the meeting to you in our next MailChimp blast, which will also include a link to register for our upcoming meeting on September 25th. If you're not on our mailing, you can email manhattanfamilyadvisor@gmail.com and Jackie will put you on it. So John opened the meeting speaking for Commissioner Bear, who wasn't there. And he talked about the new capacity management program, which is replacing the CROW. It's an electronic platform created for the CROW process. They're on phase 1 and they have 7 months to update the CROW list. Phase 2 will focus on the providers. He spoke about self-direction evaluation is completed. They have 8 recommendations that they're going to put in plain language for us to understand. There is a new family advocacy page on the OPWD website. They had employment updates with Pathway to Employment, a dream synopsis, which will be on October 28th in the Empire State Plaza. Housing, I can't read my writing there, sorry. They discussed the CAS and the CANs. CAS is a big to do with us right now. In October, John said there will be in October, there will be regional presentations on the CAS and CANs, focusing on training, interview, and accuracy of the CAS outcomes, the value. So we also discussed the RFP update. Currently, we are in the scoring phase, so we're restricted to certain communication about the RFP. But there was a delay in that, and that was caused from an administration error. They did not clarify that the 3.5 million was for each year for 5 years, totaling a 3-year commitment of 17.5 million. We also discussed the local council. Each local council gets $3,000 to spend on their council. And we talked about what's allowable for us to use that money on. One of the big things we did was statewide created a new FSS brochure because we didn't think that the FSS brochure from OPWDD was inclusive on joining our local committees. And so we kind of made a QR code on the brochure. They're going to work with us to combine the two, but we didn't want to wait and we wanted to go through ours. So they should be printed shortly. Again, that expense is allowed under the FSS $3,000 budget. So I ordered Manhattan many. And they just wrapped up on, telling us that they followed up from the meeting we had in June. They said central office had replied to all comments that were in the public session. So we were happy about that. Then they had some success stories. One was in the Western New York success story, and one was, then Chris also talked about using AI and the HIPAA rules. And he also had a lengthy conversation about the ADM not allowing for family reimbursement for CDPAP family providers. It was pretty detailed. And so the recording of that meeting is on the OPWD's website. And again, Jackie and I will send out that link for you if you want to watch the meeting, and we will send out this more detailed minutes that I have. That's it for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt. Transition Committee, Andrew or Pat?
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Kathy. Manhattan Transition Committee, our committee focuses on a transition from high school age into adult programs and services for youth with IDD. We meet every 2 months throughout the school year from October through June. And I co-chair the committee with Pat Liu from GHO. It's open to all stakeholders in that transition process, from people with disabilities to their families, school staff, and reps from provider agencies and CCOs. Our kickoff meeting is going to be Wednesday, October 8th at 10 a.m. The topic for that one is going to be what's next after high school, navigating adult services for youth with IDD. We'll be covering various post-high school options within OPWDD's system, so including day hub programs, employment supports, and other services. We'll touch on the basics of OPWDD's eligibility and service authorization processes and roles of key players in that planning process. I'll put a little note in the chat. Also stay tuned with our website, manhattanddcouncil.org. There's also a link in the chat if you'd like to sign up for the email list for the DD Council. You get all the meeting announcements. quick save the date for the rest of our meetings this school year. December 10th, we're going to have a guest presentation with New York Connect and Sydney about their assistance for benefits, services, and housing, and some other supports. February 11th will be our annual Manhattan Adult Services Meet and Greet event that's going to feature a brief presentations by a range of provider organizations that provide those types of services. Good one-stop shop to learn more. April, we're planning to, in collaboration with the Manhattan Family Support Services Advisory Council, we'll be planning a two-part series about decision-making and guardianship. And then stay tuned for more info about June as that takes shape. All that'll be in the chat. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Andrew. And our last committee update,
Can
family.
I ask a question?
Absolutely.
She raised her hand, I'd let her, right?
Andrew. This is. Has there been any action or effort by the schools within District 75 and or its inclusive ed high school sites to do a follow-up
It's not bad. It's not bad.
years later,
Yeah, it's good.
5, 6, 7 years after we have transitioned our students, to find out from the students and or their families, what are they currently doing? Their level of satisfaction with it. Where did they think transition was helpful? Where was it not? And how could it be improved? I think that's absolutely necessary for any functioning program that is sending people off. You know, we need to follow up to see. Not with our favorites, but with everybody. So you send out 300 and you get back 100. That's great. You know?
Yeah, definitely a worthy endeavor. I am not honestly aware of anything as organized as that in terms of outreach to postgraduates, with their satisfaction with their supports and services
It's not
following
bad,
high school.
I think that's something that the transition committee could promote.
Yeah, maybe.
The vegetables are a little hard, but the rice and the meat is good.
Could do, a concerted effort throughout Manhattan. I mean, not Manhattan, well, boroughs.
Yeah.
Because they all have transition committees on each council.
Great idea.
Yeah, great idea. And it.
All right.
Well, I mean, region.
Yeah, really strong idea.
Yeah, I think we'll follow up on that.
We used to do surveys and travel training going back to kids we had trained 10 years before, 5 years before, and the things we learned were incredible. We found one little thing we thought was, just a question of type thing, was one of the most important things to families all along. We had thought about changing it. We did not, because it was what had mattered so much. So you learn. It is not a negative, it's a positive. You'd be surprised how happy some people are.
Bring that.
Great idea.
Great idea.
Wendy or Manawati? Family and provider information?
Hi, everyone. So I missed the first few minutes, so I'm not sure if new folks to the executive committee or co-chair or chair titles were announced, but the Family and Provider Information Committee is happy to welcome our new co-chair, Inwati. And I'm sorry, I sometimes mispronounce that. My apologies. I'll get it. I will. As a new co-chair for our committee, she is from ACA, and I'll give you a moment to speak and give any information you'd like. But I just want to let everyone know we will be restarting our meetings in November. We will be meeting in a few days just to discuss topics for the rest of the year. So if you have anything in particular that you'd like us to cover through that particular committee, then please let us know. I'll put my email in the chat so you can send us whatever ideas you have. And I do just want to say overall, great to be restarting the year with the Manhattan DD Council. Kathy spoke about dues. And of course, Jasenia jumped in terms of, you know, what the dues can get you. But I just wanted to say this is a community, right? We're here to share information, to learn from each other. And as such, you know, it's really important that we do exactly that. Share information. Don't just keep it to yourselves. Once you learn it here, please do share it with the rest of your agency, with family supported. You know, I want to make sure that we don't just stop at the meeting and once everyone logs off or goes back to their offices, that's where the information stays. There's a lot that's covered here. And we want to make sure that the information is trickling sideways, up, down, whatever way it can. So just, you know, please keep that in mind. It's one of the reasons why we meet, because we want to ensure that the information is getting out. So with that said, I'll let Manwari say a few words.
Thank you, Wendy, so much. Hi, everyone, again. You said my name right, Wendy, so thank you. My name is Meenawati Singh. I'm one of the regional directors here at Advanced Care Alliance of New York, and I've been providing care management services and prior MSC services over the last 10 years, so my heart is really with the intellectual and developmentally disabled community, and I cannot echo what Wendy says enough, that please make sure that you are sharing out the information you're getting from these meetings. Please ensure if you're a care manager on here that you're sharing this with the other care managers on your teams and with other providers and so forth that you've created those relationships with, so that we can ensure that all the information is getting out to the people that we support. I think one of the greatest areas that care management is always looking for support is getting resources. And these monthly meetings are a great place to get those resources. So thank you. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
you. And again, thank you to all of my committee co-chairs. Thank you for continuing to volunteer your time and your information with all of us. It does make the council what it is. So thank you all for continuing to do that. Before we close, the council, as I said, does meet hybrid each month. And so we are looking for host agencies or host sites throughout the year. We do have a site for our October meeting, which will be on October 21st at AHRC at 83 Maiden Lane. So I have it down here. I will look into that. As Peggy said, the exhibit, Positive Solutions Gallery exhibit is opening on October 16th. I will see if we can do a kind of a special tour following our meeting. So that I think will be great incentive to get people.
Yes, without a doubt, right?
But let me see if we can arrange that before we get too excited about it. But thank you. I have it written down already. Good. And we didn't pre-plan that. So if your agency or location can accommodate, we have, I would say, about a little over 15 people here today. I'm hoping to kind of increase that as the year goes on. But I would say if you have a room that can accommodate 25, 30 people with the technology that can accommodate a Zoom hybrid meeting. That would be fantastic. So you can let me know on that. You can email me or the council. My agency email is Kathy, Kathy, .KELLY @ahrcnyc.org, and we'll get our calendar filled up with locations. Also, going forward at our council meetings, we'd love to have topics of interest where we can have presenters, similar to kind of like the ad hoc one that we had today. So if you have any areas of interest or topics that you think would be great for the council to address, please let me know and we'll incorporate that as well. So on that note, are there any other questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Yes.
In terms of the space, would it be helpful perhaps if you send an email with all the dates for this year, and then the ones that you already have a space, and then the ones that you're looking for, so that way we will all have it in front of us and look at calendars and.
Sure, and the only dates that we currently have are October and January. And Andrew Harris has been phenomenal at keeping up our calendar. So as we get locations, we'll put those on the website. And all of our meeting dates are already on the website, but it's the third Tuesday of each month.
Question about the way, you'll be sorry I'm here. I'm sitting here and I'm thinking about how we speak of equal voices. Was the website, is there any section on the website that the people represented by the council, not just the parents, but the individuals can access, that would give them information about what's available for them?
Not specifically a page on the website for that. There are general areas on the website like resources, which has our the link to our family sport directory, different events, advocacy, but not a designated area or page on the website for self-advocates. Something to consider.
Yeah, and I think about the accessibility of websites. I find most of them inaccessible. I mean, by the time I figure out how to use a website, they change it.
Okay, thank you all. Have a great rest of your day. Enjoy the last warm days of at least official summer. And we will see you all on October 21st.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone who needs to use the bathroom, they are right here on the.
Thank you, Kathy.